Tonight's episode is brought to you by the letter R. R like reverb. And the letter E. E like echo. By the way, these effects are not intentional today.
Are we going to talk about cold opens?
Yeah, sure. So,
I have a critique.
okay, go ahead.
But I don't think you understand how cold opens work.
How do cold opens work?
They're the thing that goes before the theme song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like just like a random bit of like ridiculousness humor.
Oh, okay.
And then the music starts.
Oh, okay. So that's what you meant by cold open.
We just kind of come in BSing, and then we're like surprised to discover that, hey, we're recording. Oh, hey, I didn't see you come in there. Hi, everybody.
So guess who just wandered right into the office?
Oh, hey.
Brian Moats, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Just not playing some D&D tonight, so I can be here and talk to you guys.
Now, is your girlfriend running D&D tonight?
She is. She's hopefully killing all the party that's there, but I don't think she's going to. She's a little too nice for that.
So, did you hear about the new game that everybody's playing in terms of D&D, Gloomhaven?
Yes, it's kind of like a board game mixed with an RPG. I've not actually had the chance to play it. I've definitely seen the box, and I've seen the price tag on the box. It definitely looks good. I just don't know if I like the idea of, once you play it, you've played it, because you have to put stickers on it and everything. So I'm trying to get over that whole idea that it's kind of a legacy game.
Yeah. I have a couple friends from work, and they are hardcore into the game. They have like a whole one night a week where they do it. They've even gotten to the point where they're retiring characters, and it seems like a lot of work for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. It seems like a cool concept. It's a nice way to bridge the gap between your traditional RPG and a board game. So I think it's definitely got a market.
So anyway, thank you for listening again to RGCWV, Random Geek Culture, right here in West Virginia. Tonight we have Mike Mallow as my co-host. Mike, say hi to everybody.
Hi, I sound like crap tonight.
Well, we appreciate you anyway.
I just thought I'd mention that up front, so the sniffling and hacking and all that is understandable.
And then, of course, we have Brian Moats. Brian is a organizer for Extra Life here in North Central West Virginia. Tonight we're going to talk about a few things with Extra Life. We're going to discuss both what the charity is, also what Brian and North Central West Virginia does for Extra Life. It's tradition around here that we ask our guests what they geek out about. I actually totally geek out about Freakazoid. I love that show. I have probably watched that show 20 plus times. In fact, I've got my 10-year-old daughter into it, and she loves Freakazoid as well. It's just so witty, and actually Mike is the one that got me into it.
Yeah, back in 97.
Back in 97.
And I will say 10 years old is a good entry point to get into that. It was almost like the Animaniacs follow-up.
It was. I mean, I know that everybody says the Animaniacs follow-up was Pinky and the Brain, but Pinky and the Brain was its own thing.
Pinky and the Brain was more of a spin-off than a follow-up.
Yeah, exactly. So Brian, what do you geek out about?
So I guess the thing I'm geeking out about the last 24 hours is Starlink. Have you seen that game?
Oh, I've heard about it.
I decided to pick it up because it has for the Switch, it has the R-Wing and Fox McCloud as your characters, and you can use them, and they're like amiibo or Skylanders basically, and you put this thing together, and you can use it in the game. And I've only played it about 2 or 3 hours, but so far I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of like I don't know, it's sort of like Grand Theft Auto in space in a way, but you're just in your own ship, but you kind of go place to place doing missions. So it's kind of got like RPG elements to it in some sense. So
I
it's
was watching a video about that today. Arlo. I don't know if you've ever seen the YouTuber Arlo. He's
yeah.
he's hilarious. I love watching Arlo. It's the combination of two of my favorite things, combining Muppets with with Nintendo. It's great, but um, he got the whole kit, the whole Starlink kit from whatever publisher does that, because
Ubisoft.
because it's not Nintendo directly, it's Ubisoft, right?
Yep.
And he was taking off parts mid mission and putting on new parts, and I was like, man, adds a whole new element to the game. I mean, they had something cool with like Skylanders and everything, where you could change out your characters, but being able to change out the parts in the payload of your actual vehicle while you're playing, that is really cool.
This game and Mario Rabbids, I'm very impressed with the partnership between Nintendo and Ubisoft.
Ubisoft has really come up in the last, I would say, 10 years. They have completely turned their company around from what everybody wrote off as just a cash grab company to one that really listens to the community and hears what we want.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, you just mentioned rabbits, but I mean, you've got other games like Siege, Rainbow Six Siege. They've done a lot for that game and its upgrading. However, I will mention the For Honor. That game is a hell of a lot of fun to play. The big problem with that game is its pay structure. Like, for instance, I got the starter pack, and after I started playing it, I was like, man, I like this game. I think that because the starter pack's only $20, so I was like, you know what? I really like this game. The starter pack I'll just consider was a good demo, and I'll get the rest. Well, it was on sale, so I was going to be able to buy the rest of the game for $30 essentially. Buy the full game. I go to check out and it tells me that I cannot in any way upgrade my starter pack copy. I have to buy it in the in-game currency.
Oh God, that's terrible.
Yeah, so I really like For Honor, but it deterred me from wanting to play it more because of its pay structure. How did we even get on that topic? We really go.
That's what I geeked out about.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. You know what? We go off on so many tangents. There's a reason why I call this random geek culture, because this is exactly what we as geeks do. We just go off on one tangent to another, and it's just like one big roulette where you don't know where we're going to land. We did that last week too. We were talking about what were we talking about? We were talking about Smallfoot, and then we were talking about Disney animation, and then I don't know how we got on it. We talked about the casting choices. That's what it was. We were talking about the casting choices for Aladdin, and then we were talking about the casting choices for Dark Knight Rises, and then we were talking about comparing the DC universe to Avengers. It was totally not planned, totally organic, and just
all over the place.
Yeah, all over the place. It's really funny how we do that. Let's go ahead and skip over to our main event tonight.
You mean not asking Mike what he geeks out about?
Well, I already did ask you what Mike geeks out about. Does Mike want to?
So I only get to do it one time. Okay, I got you. Now set me up.
Mike, what do you geek out about?
Right now, Adobe Photoshop coming to the iPad.
I saw that. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I mentioned it on Twitter.
And truthfully, I think it's really, really smart. And it's not just the fact that the iPad has gotten powerful enough to handle something like that, but the new pencil that's coming out for it.
Right. And I've been looking for a reason for years to get one because I can never justify because to me, I've got to have a laptop because I'm a power user
Hmm.
and they just don't offer the stuff I need for an iPad.
Yeah.
And this is the first major step into getting what I need on there. It's not all the way yet. If Adobe put their entire suite on there, then I'm game. And I don't expect that for quite some time. But this is a good enough start that I'm willing to invest in that down the road.
Tonight, we are going to talk about Extra Life. Extra Life is a charity. Well, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and ask our guest because I think Brian knows a little bit more about Extra Life than I do.
Thank you, Luke. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I have two questions for you.
Yes.
One, do you like games?
I love games.
Okay. Do you enjoy sick children?
I don't. I'm not going to say I enjoy sick children. In fact, when I see a sick child, I want to see what I can do to make them better again.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just think of gamers these people who just sit in front of a TV or sit in a basement and aren't social, but really gamers have a lot of passion. And I mean, when you give them something they're passionate about, which is games, and you give them a good cause to work towards, put those two things together and you can make magic happen. And that's exactly what Extra Life has done.
Well, I feel okay. So I've heard several stories on the reason why gamers are the way they are. And in reference to this, the best explanation I ever heard was when it comes to trying to or finding a cause that a gamer feels passionate about is we are part of a narrative in a game. We are not watching a movie. We are where we are passively seeing that movie. We are actively a part of that game. And when we see something that we can truly affect, sometimes that hits us on a personal level, and not because we personally felt that or went through that, but we went through that throughout a external medium.
Yeah, that wow, I never even thought about it like that. That's a really good analogy.
Let's just ask this question: how can we get involved? I mean, if we don't want to um, be one of the gamers that does this marathon, how do we help out?
Well, there's a couple ways. I mean, obviously, you could find someone who's part of Extra Life. There's quite a few of us. I think I asked the people at our hospital locally. There's 136 people registered in West Virginia right now, and that number will grow over the next 2 weeks. So there's a lot of people involved. So if you know somebody, or if you don't know somebody, go to www.extra-life.org and you'll find the Extra Life website. And if you know somebody, you can actually search by them for name on there, and you can donate straight to their page. They take PayPal and most credit cards. Also, people who are part of it can take cash donations and send those in as well. So, I mean, obviously, one way is simply donating. Other ways is, go onto this website, learn about it, spend 10 minutes watching the story about Victoria. And, if you don't want to get involved yourself, if you're not really a gamer, if you don't have the time to commit, talk to your friends. Maybe someone else would be interested in doing it. And, they can sign up, join a team, and help raise funds, share on social media. I mean, there's a lot of ways to be involved, but those are a couple of the big ways.
Gotcha. Now, um, why do you guys do a 24-hour marathon? Why is there a reason why you do a 24-hour marathon?
I think that's just the structure that it was set up originally as. It's sort of like the idea behind it is when you go to ask people to donate, you tell them, hey, I'm doing this 24-hour events. It's for a good cause. Would you sponsor me? So one way that you could sponsor people is say, well, hey, I think you're going to last 20 hours. So I'll sponsor you $5 for every hour that you manage to successfully do. So I think it's kind of like the phonathon, because I think the thing that they started with Victoria when she was still alive was it was a phonathon. So I think it just naturally progressed from, you know, being on phones, collecting money from people
Sounds a
to
little bit like
gaming.
a walkathon as well.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, there's a lot of those thons that do
Hmm.
something for X amount of time or X amount of distance, and I think 24 hours it's a good number. I mean, it's a long number, but they also even tell you you don't have to do it for 24 hours. If you have a team, you could tag off to people, or if you want to do the whole 24 hours but you can't do it in one setting, you can even do it over multiple weekends split up. So you could do 4 weekends of 6 hours. So I mean,
I didn't know that.
yep, you absolutely can.
Brian, can I come in and play for a couple hours and give one of you guys a break?
Absolutely, you can do that. So
When
for
is
our
that?
event,
Yeah, when is your
yeah.
event?
So it will be on November 3rd at the Meadowbrook Mall at the Four Horsemen shop and outside of the Four Horsemen.
Okay.
We will be starting at 10 a.m. and running until 9 p.m. Once we get to the 9 p.m. part, we're going to be doing overnight for those who are actually running games during the day.
Okay.
So there'll be people still invited to stay overnight as well, but that overnight portion, since we are in a store and we have to be responsible for the store's inventory and everything, we do want to kind of keep it a little bit of a smaller group. Last year we had believe it was about 35 or 40 people that ended up staying overnight, even though we had about 125 people throughout the day. So
Wow.
yeah, it's definitely great. And Mike from the Four Horsemen and all the staff there have been great about letting us do this. I mean, there's no reason they have to, leave this space open for us to play in for 24 hours, but they do. They trust us, and we uh, we respect that, and it's great for the store. It's great for us.
Well, I think that one of the reasons why they want to open up their doors to you guys is the same reason why I'm doing this podcast right now with you as a guest. I don't feel like I could do a 24-hour stint. I had a marathon just recently with a group of guys, and after 6 hours, I was done. I was tapped out, and I thought, what else could I do? And then the podcast kind of materialized out of that, and I wanted to have you on. It's because I want to help out with this charity in any way I can. I didn't know about the whole tap out thing,
Yeah,
so if I can come for a couple hours and just give somebody a break, let them take a power nap in their car or something like that. I that definitely sounds like something I could do.
yeah. So definitely, you certainly should come. And anyone else who's listening to this, come up on November 3rd and come play some games with us.
Hmm.
We'll have raffles. We've actually gotten a lot of support from some publishers. I've reached out to a number of publishers who sent us some swag to raffle off. Smirk and Dagger and Smirk and Laughter, a company that does board games. They sent us 3 games to raffle off and play to win.
Oh, cool.
Uh, yeah, I forget. It's Student Bodies. It's a zombie game. That'll be in our raffle. And
Student bodies?
yep,
That's awesome. I love that name.
yeah, and 2 games in our play to win. So all you have to do is come and play the game, write your name on a little index card, and you'll be in a raffle to win that at the end of the night. So there's not even a purchase on the Nut So Fast games, which is a zany little game where it's an agility game where you have these cards and you're waiting for the right pairing of either cashews, peanuts, or whatnot to pop up, and you reach for these little wooden nuts. So it's a zany little game. So they sent us those Stronghold Games. He supported us financially by making a donation. Arcane Wonders, the company that makes Sheriff of Nottingham
Hmm.
and some other really fun party games, they gave us a discount coupon that we're going to be able to raffle off that someone can get 50% off their entire order. They buy one thing from everything from that site. It's all half off minus shipping.
Wow.
A local company up in PA who's made this really funny zombie cow game called Shoot Cows. They're supporting us by sending us 3 copies of the game, and it's a fun game. They were at PopCon, had so much fun with that game, so I'm excited they're helping us.
WV Popcorn?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And 3 other companies, Elderwood Academy, Die Hard Dice, and Kraken Dice, all well known in the dice making company. They've got amazing dice, metal dice, precious metal or precious gemstones like amethyst.
Yeah.
Wonderful wooden cases. So they've sent us some stuff to raffle off as well. So yeah, we've gotten a lot of support, and we can't be happier.
Well, I mean, you guys have
Very nice.
been building up over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Now, I imagine that you guys will probably want to maybe in the next few years get some of those new Xbox grease-proof controllers. Have you seen these?
I just heard about that this morning. I've got to check that out.
Yeah, it was a promotion for PUBG, for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on the Xbox, because they're now on Xbox, even though they're dying because of what is it, is it Call of Duty? PUBG is suffering like seriously for it. But besides that, they came out with a new grease-proof controller that they only made like so many of, and you have to like enter into a raffle. But beside the point, the grease-proof controller is getting some attention, some traction. It's coated with this like polyurethane, and I was watching a video on it, and the guy said it literally works better than some of these other controllers. It does resist grease. It's certainly not proof, but it is much better than a traditional controller.
That is interesting. I'd definitely like to see one of those in person. Of course, I'm sure, unfortunately, like most limited things, that'll become an eBay special here in a few months.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the NES Classic when it first came out. You had those things going for like 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I even saw $900 for one.
I spent months on eBay looking for one.
Yeah. And I was lucky enough to have a wife that knew that it was coming out, and I was traveling back from work, and she calls me up when I'm on the highway, and she's like, "Hey, where are you?" And I'm like, "I am just getting off the Jerry Dove exit." And she goes, "Why are you getting off there?" And I'm like, "Well, I could tell by the tone of your voice that you want me to turn around from wherever I am." So I turn around and I'm like, "What do you want me to do?" And she goes, "I want you to go to Walmart, and I want you to get in line for the Nintendo." I completely spaced on the idea that the Nintendo Classic was coming out that day, and I just happened to get there and be the last person in line. I still didn't even know what it actually was until she got there, and she's like, "Merry Christmas, I guess." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "This is the line for the Nintendo Classic." And I'm like, "Oh." And then, of course, I got the SNES Classic when it came out, but they were not lacking in supply this time.
Did I tell you I got an NES Classic finally?
Yeah. I'm glad that Nintendo finally made a remake of that, or a reprint, essentially.
Yeah, I was just walking through Target one day. I was like, "Oh, there's a whole stack up behind the case." Bought it, didn't even think about it.
Have you hacked it yet?
Nah.
Um,
I'm still playing everything.
Brian, do you have one of the classic systems?
Yeah, I actually didn't get the first round of the NES Classic. I wasn't sure I really wanted it at the time, mostly because I already have Nintendo. But when it came back out after the SNES, yeah, I ended up picking both up, and yes, I hacked the first one on the NES Classic on day one. So I've got like I think about 80 or 90 games on it right now.
Yeah, I have somewhere around that as well. And I wasn't even gonna hack it, but then I was thinking about it, and I was like, it doesn't even have my favorite game for Nintendo, which is the original Ninja Turtles. I
Oh yeah,
loved that game. I
It was
could
yeah.
missing
not.
my favorite one too,
Which one was that?
Bionic Commando.
Mm,
Wait, it wasn't on the original?
nope.
No,
I have Bionic Commando on mine, but I forgot that it wasn't on there.
yeah, it wasn't.
That is a missed opportunity.
That was the
But
only one that I missed that I wanted on there.
Yeah, it also didn't have. I don't know if it's my favorite game for the NES, but it's one that I've played many, many times, and not a whole lot of people even know of it. Journey to Silas or Celius.
mm,
Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it.
No.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be an official Terminator game, but it kind of got delayed, and it was about the time that Terminator 2 came out. So they pulled their license from it, saying, "No, we don't want this game now." So they had already had a completed game, so they just did a little reskinning, a
Mm.
restory, and this amazing 2D shooter or platform shooter game uh, was born under a title that probably nobody even heard of. So
Sounds like Doki Dory Panic.
Yeah, that's what I
yes,
was thinking.
yep.
Mario 2.
Mario
Yep.
2. Man, I tell you what, when I was a kid, I was like, man, this is so innovative. This is nothing like the other Mario. It's because it wasn't intended to be.
Hey, but you know what? That game has spawned so many things in the future Mario games. So
Yeah,
it worked.
I mean,
Yep.
the but that you know what that's what happens sometimes. You have an IP that just tries something new and it totally evolves into something completely different that wasn't even intended. I mean, just look at the Assassin's Creed game, 3. They just added the pirate ship mechanic as an afterthought. People loved it, and then Black Flag came out. To circle back around to Extra Life. So, Brian,
Yes.
I was reading up a little bit about Extra Life, and the one thing that I found that was very interesting was, unlike other charities, this is specifically and uniquely designed to take care of uncompensated care, like it's as they call it. What is it? Unrestricted care,
Hmm.
where like something that insurance won't cover, or maybe that isn't uniquely attached with a medical or hospital visit that would help the child's recovery. This is what those funds are intended to do.
Yeah. So I think each hospital uses the funds differently.
Hmm.
So what the West Virginia hospital has done over the last few years is they've had like a project that they would say, okay, what can we do to make the quality of life better for the kids? And they pick a project, and that's what the funds get allocated to each year. So I know 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I believe they got cameras installed at the in the area with the babies,
Hmm.
where the families, when they have to go back to work, because obviously, unfortunately, the reality is these things cost money, and I mean, you got to still be able to work. So they can actually go in and I believe see their children even when they're at work. So that's
Hmm.
that's a great thing that they've
Very cool.
provided.
Now,
And
from what I've read, they have additionally um, used these funds to buy like video game systems for these children. That, well, for instance, I don't know if you know this about me, Ryan, but I um, was one of the kids. Well, I was in high school at the time, but I was one of the kids that I was recovering from brain surgery. And one of the things that my therapist in the recovery was saying that I needed to work on my fine motor skills. She suggested that I getting a little bit of my personality, she suggested that I actually spend some time every day playing video games. So in our recovery ward, we had a Super Nintendo. And I spent a lot of time playing Donkey Kong. And
Oh, absolutely.
I actually have a shirt that I will not throw away. I've had it for 20 years. And it's literally says Nintendo Rehabilitation Clinic. Now, the intention of the shirt is is supposed to be ironic, but for me, it has a personal. It means a lot to me because every time I see that, that's what I think of is that video games literally helped me recover from brain surgery.
Yeah.
I'm, I remember when that happened. I remember going down there, and I think you were actually playing Ocarina of Time
Oh
when
yeah,
when we
Nathan
went to
let me.
visit you.
Yeah, Nathan let me borrow his N64. I forgot about that.
Because it had just come out. Well, I guess it'd been a couple years at that point, but it
Yeah,
was a fairly new game at that time.
yeah, and that. Oh man, I played, and I couldn't play that when I first started recovering because I couldn't control the analog stick with my thumb. But as I got better with my fine motor skills, I was able to, and that was one of the things that pushed me to get better was being able to play this new Zelda game that looked so cool. Man,
Yeah, so actually, that is something else that they do get funds for. I believe companies and individuals donate systems, and one of the I think it was last year, the thing that the hospital got was basically like a red box, and it's stocked with games and movies, and they can use their little, I guess, bracelets or something to go over and rent a game out and take it back to their room, and they can play it.
that is really cool.
Yeah.
Any final plug?
Well, I'll just make it another. I'll just invite people again to come out and join us on November 3rd at the Meadowbrook Mall at the Four Horsemen shop. And outside of the Four Horsemen shop, we're going to have, I think, 20 plus tables of board games, RPGs, obviously all the raffles that I mentioned earlier to be available. And if you want to join our team, you can go to extralife.org and search for the team WV Gamers, all one word, and you can find us and join our team, or you can find Brian Moats on there and join the team that way as well. It's free to join. There is a platinum option where you pay $19 for a donation, and you can basically get challenges where if you meet certain donation levels, that you get some free swag from companies such as Carved, who makes amazing wood cases for phones and some other things. So uh, I hope to see everybody come out that day and make it a big successful day for us. Yeah, so you can either find me on Facebook as Brian Moats. I probably have like a weird Mexican hat going on from my birthday. God, it's been back in January. Or you can get a hold of me at my email address, moats, Moats, BF, at gmail.com.
I'm going to be in Weston that day, so if I have some extra time left over, I may swing up that way.
Well, if you do, Mike, I think what we might have to do is maybe a live broadcast,
A live broadcast,
a live broadcast, our first ever,
a remote.
a remote with the moats.
There you go.
Well, we would love to have you guys there.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can stop down and help support the cause. Mike, I don't know if you have seen the development on the new Switch VR.
I haven't, but I'm interested.
Yeah, I was too until I actually started reading into it.
So, so what exactly is this supposed to be? I saw that the Switch has had a hidden VR feature that, all the hackers have missed all this time. So, like, what exactly has been released so far beyond like the patent and the leaked information about what's in the code?
Okay, well, let's just start with the current release. There is a company It's called the NES or NS glasses, and what it is it's like a Google Cardboard, and it's a current working model, and you slap um, your Switch right into the unit, and you put it
Mm,
on, and like the Google Glasses or like the Google Cardboard, you would expect it to have a actual 3D projected image. It doesn't split to two different eyes. It is
oh, geez.
one big lenticular lens. So
Mm.
it's just a theater mode for your Switch. And looking at the screens and everything, it's an out of focus image
Ah.
of your Switch. So that's where they are right now. There is a company that produces these things, and I don't know why this is a thing.
It's weird that Nintendo, they should know 3D by now because they had the 3DS. So that just doesn't make sense why they would let that pass.
Well, it's, a company that just has a unlicensed piece of hardware that they're selling. I mean, because it's not a Nintendo product at all.
Yeah, Nintendo's always been good about giving their stamp of approval on things. I guess maybe things have changed since the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, things have definitely changed. I mean, for instance, you can plug up most USB controllers, and it works with the Switch.
Hmm.
You can also use almost every Bluetooth controller with the Switch.
Yeah, so from what
Hmm.
I'm seeing on here, it looks like it's just something that this group has done probably in preparation for when Nintendo releases something VR. So
Yeah, but
it seems like this is just something they've preemptively done based on what I'm seeing here. The
they
funny
jumped
thing
the gun.
is,
I feel like.
yeah, the funny thing is the color scheme of the picture that I'm looking at immediately reminds me of the Virtual Boy.
Yeah,
Their first attempt into 3D.
yeah. So this I was using this as more of a segue. And Brian, you did a little bit of research as well. Do you guys see that something like this, in even like a or a Google Cardboard situation, do you guys see this being a not even necessarily a need, but a want for the Switch?
No, not really.
I didn't.
It's
Yeah, I didn't think so either. Go ahead, Brian.
it's really hard to say. I mean, Nintendo's always done innovative things, and sometimes they've worked out, sometimes they haven't. Obviously, the first time they tried this was with the
Virtual Boy.
Virtual Boy. So, do I think it's going to have any more success now? I don't know. I mean, I don't think the hardware is where it needs to be to really give the experience that people want.
Hmm.
However, at the right price point with an innovative way of making it work where it doesn't kill the experience, I could see people enjoying it. It's going to come down to the price point. I mean, it's like the PlayStation VR. It was at a pretty nice price point, and even though I have one, I haven't actually used it a whole lot in the last 2 years. But I've been seeing more and more games coming out that's really making use of it, and it's actually doing pretty well from what I can see. So Nintendo's done a lot of things in the past, and I'm just kind of curious to see what exactly the unlocked VR mode in the system will be if they decide to move forward with it.
There's several different things that I feel like Nintendo could do with a 3D aspect. Do I think that it's absolutely needed? No. Do I think that it's going to be a game changer for them? No. Do I think that it might be a cool gimmick that they may try out just because they're Nintendo? Yes,
Yes.
because they do things like
Makes
that. They,
sense.
the thing we were talking about Arlo here a minute ago. Nintendo always seems to be the company that is that wild card. They do innovative things like that, and sometimes it works out for them, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, the Wii was very innovative. I mean, was it necessarily the first of its kind? No, but it made it very popular and easily accessible. And I mean, that's why the Wii was such a huge success for
It,
Nintendo.
it was just so different, but it worked.
Yeah. Now, I think though that's really funny is just like the Motion Plus, the Switch is what everybody wanted out of the Wii U. Because remember when the Motion Plus came out? It did things that everybody assumed that the Wii would be able to do out of box, and it didn't.
Right.
I feel like the Switch is exactly what the Motion Plus was to the Wii U, because it does things that people assumed that the Wii U would be able to do. They thought that they would be able to just take the controller and on a trip and they could use that. No, then you would still have to bring the whole unit with you. Well, Nintendo realized that they messed up and they came out with the Switch.
Yeah, after they kind of tried out the Wii U in between there.
Yeah, exactly.
They kind of pulled a Microsoft there where every other version of Windows is kind of a test for their next. They kind of did that with the Wii U and the Switch.
Yeah, the Microsoft model. Nintendo, I have never been able to classify them right. Every once in a while, I'll think they're like Apple, and then I'll think they're like Microsoft. They're their own thing, though. They are their own thing.
I would still classify them as Apple because they seem like they kind of hang back and they take their time to figure out what people want, and once they figure it out, they keep doing that thing until it's no longer relevant.
That's true.
So, Mike, go ahead and give us a Heartspark plug, just for continuity.
So, Heartspark is coming to Amazon Books November 7th, and it will be in print around West Virginia shortly thereafter. And I'll have to say, I got a physical proof back today, and I can't tell you how exciting that was.
That's awesome.
To where I don't want to read it because if I find something I'm like I can't edit it now, but it's just great to see the whole finished product there and ready.
Did you hand it to your son and go, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything?
I did.
That's our geek trivia. That's our geek trivia right there. What movie was that from?
Breakfast Club.
No.
I just made that up. I don't actually know.
Brian, you want to try?
It sounds familiar, but I cannot think where that comes from.
My gut tells me Princess Bride, but I don't think that's right.
It's not Never-Ending Story, is it?
No. You're right in that time period though.
But we did think of it at the same time, so that should count for something.
Yeah.
The son said it to the father earlier in the movie.
Is this Back to the Future?
Is Back to the Future.
Okay.
Yeah, that was why that quote was so good, because Marty had said it to George earlier off in the movie when he was a kid.
You know why it worked out for him?
Why?
Because he used the power of love.
He used the power of love.
It's a curious thing.
It is a curious thing.
We're gonna have to end this episode with a song now.
I know.
Oh, I don't know if I can. It might be.
Hey, I will tell you. I think if you keep it like short, you'll be all right. I Fight Dragons does a cover of Power of Love, and they do the intro with the Back to Future music.
Really?
But in the bit chip.
Oh my, that'd be awesome.
Thank you again for listening to RGCWV. If you want to send us a question or just tell us that we're doing a good job, you can send that via email to randomwvgeek@gmail.com. Again, that's randomwvgeek@gmail.com. Or you can send us a text or send us a voicemail even to 304-266-9777. Again, that's 304-566-9777. Mike, you want to say...
Hey, Luke. Hey, who does our theme music?
That is actually a couple different people. The person who actually composed that, I guess you would say, is Mr. Michael Stewart.
Nice.
Right here in Fairmont, West Virginia. You know Mike. And
He's done work with me in the past, and he does good stuff.
He does do good stuff. And then, of course, the banjo part is actually done by Todd Ryder.
Hmm.
And this is actually more or less a band project that Mike is doing. It's actually the FMs is the name of the band, his current project band that
Okay.
he's working with. They're mostly synth, and I think they've got a set here coming up here. I think in December, maybe. But if you guys see the FMs, I would definitely say check them out. They're pretty good. Brian, have you heard the intro song?
Yes, I have.
It doesn't it sound awesome?
It does.
Yeah, and I know that the song is not specifically West Virginia, but it makes me think of West Virginia every time I hear that song. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. It's definitely well done, and it definitely sounds great.
Yeah, I think the banjo is just a great addition to it too. It's customary for our guests to say "Welcome to the end."
Okay. Welcome to the end.
You can say it too, Mike.
Welcome to the end. I'm going to go take a NyQuil.
Welcome to the end, everybody.
Our love is a curious thing. Make a one man weep, make another man sing.